The bullet ripped through my chest like a freight train derailing in slow motion. And as the world tilted sideways into that cold Manhattan gutter, I locked eyes with Jack, my own brother, his face twisted in that smug grin he saved for closing deals. Family first, right? Ames, he'd whispered, right before the trigger pulled, his voice dripping with the kind of sarcasm that masked pure venom. But the real gut punch? I wasn't even mad at the gun.
No.
It was the text he'd sent just hours before. Casual as a coffee run. Sold your building for cash. We're square now.
Square?
That crumbling warehouse on the Lower East Side. The one Dad left me in his will. The one I'd poured my soul into turning around. It wasn't some fire sale at $2 million. It was a goddamn goldmine, $85 million. Easy. Once the appraisers caught wind of the underground vaults hiding the family secrets that could have buried Jack alive.
And then,
nothing. Blackness. The kind that swallows screams.
But death.
Turns out, it's just the universe's cruelest reset button. Because when my eyes snapped open, I wasn't choking on my own blood in that alley. I was staring at the cracked ceiling of my old Brooklyn walk-up, the one with the leaky faucet that sounded like Morse code for your screwed. My heart hammered like I'd chugged a pot of diner sludge, and the date on my phone, October 15th, 2023, hit me like a second bullet. 6 months before the sale. Before the betrayal that left me penniless, exposed, and ultimately
dead.
I'd been given a do-over. A shot at rewriting the script where my brother played the villain and I played the fool. I bolted upright. Sheets tangled around me like restraints from some bad cop procedural. The room smelled of stale takeout and regret, familiar. Too familiar. My hands, trembling, traced the scar that wasn't there yet. The one from the accident Jack staged after the closing.
重sinh.
They call it in those Vietnamese ghost stories Mom used to whisper when we were kids. Before she and Dad vanished in that yacht mishap off the Hamptons.
Reborn.
Yeah.
Well.
This version of me wasn't here to haunt. I was here to hunt. First things first, coffee. Black. No sugar. The way you drink it when life's handed you lemons laced with arsenic. I padded to the kitchenette, firing up the ancient mister. Coffee like it was a ritual. As it gurgled, I scrolled through my phone, half expecting phantom notifications from the future. There it was, Jack's text from last night, innocuous as hell. Hey sis, dinner at the club? Got news on the property. The property. My property. The warehouse Dad deeded to me alone, right after Mom's memorial. With that cryptic note, for Amelia. The truth's in the walls. I dismissed it as grief-fueled ramblings back then.
Now, it was my lifeline.
Jack had always been the golden boy. Ivy League shark. Wall Street whisperer. The guy who could charm a jury or a widow out of her inheritance.
Me?
I was the fixer. The one who rolled up her sleeves and turned Dad's half-baked real estate dreams into something tangible. That warehouse was my baby, prime LES real estate. Overlooked because of its structural issues. Issues Jack had fabricated. Permits stalled. Inspectors persuaded to flag asbestos that wasn't there. And the kicker? Those vaults beneath the foundation. I discovered them by accident during a Reno walkthrough. Bricked-up relics from the Prohibition era. Stuffed with ledgers Dad had squirreled away. Ledgers that detailed every shady deal Jack had pulled to climb the ladder. Embezzlement from the family trust. Bribes to City Hall. Even whispers of foul play in Mom and Dad's accident. I'd confronted him once. 6 months from now in my timeline, waving faded ink under his nose in that overpriced steakhouse. This ends,
Jack.
or it all comes out. His laugh, ice cold. You think anyone's gonna believe the black sheep over me? Sell the building.
Ames.
Walk away rich. Rich at $2 mill. When the vaults alone could fetch premiums from historians or worse, federal investigators sniffing for tax evasion trails. But I didn't sell. I dug deeper. And that's when the text started, threats veiled as brotherly advice. Then the mugging that left me hospitalized. Finally,
The alley.
Jack's hired muscle, a ghost from his frat boy days, putting a period on our family saga. But not this time. This time, I sipped my coffee and plotted. Step 1, play dumb. Act like the trusting sister he expected. Dinner at the club it was. I'd smile through the small talk, nod at his pitches, all while my mind raced like a Bloomberg terminal on steroids. The warehouse wasn't just bricks and mortar, it was leverage. $85 million in potential. Yes. But more importantly, the skeleton key to Jack's empire. And mine? It had been built on sand because I'd let family blind me. No more. By noon, I was suited up, tailored blazer from that consignment shop in Williamsburg, heels that clicked with purpose on the subway grates. The city buzzed around me, yellow cabs honking like impatient creditors, steam rising from manhole covers like bad omens. I hit the LES first, circling the warehouse from the shadows of a bodega. Chain-link fence rattled in the wind, graffiti tags fading like old grudges. It looked pathetic from the outside, peeling paint, boarded windows. But I knew better. Beneath, a fortune in forgotten history, and a noose for Jack. I jimmied the side gate, skills picked up from too many late-night site visits, and slipped inside. The air hit me like a time capsule, dust motes dancing in slanted sunlight, the faint tang of rust and river rot. My flashlight app cut through the gloom, footsteps echoing off concrete pillars. To the back corner, where the floor dipped funny. I pried up a loose grate with a crowbar from the tool shed, thank God for urban decay, and dropped into the crawl space. Heart pounding, I clawed through cobwebs until my fingers brushed cold metal. The vault door. Locked. Of course. But I'd memorized the combo from Dad's old Rolodex, April 21st, 67. Mom's birthday. It creaked open like a confessional. Inside, chaos preserved, yellowed ledgers stacked like Jenga towers, bottles of hooch with labels peeling like snake skin, and at the bottom, bingo, Jack's dirty laundry. Pages of falsified logs, wire transfers to offshore accounts, a notarized affidavit from a PI Dad had hired, dated weeks before the yacht went down. Suspect internal sabotage. Target, Jackson Hargrove. My blood ran cold. Jack hadn't just stolen from me, he'd erased our parents to cover his tracks. The accident wasn't a storm or a drunk captain. It was a bomb, timed for when they got too close to exposing him. I snapped photos with my phone, hands steady now, fueled by a rage that burned cleaner than grief. Evidence in pocket, I resealed the vault and climbed out, sealing my fate to his. Dinner tonight? Yeah. I'd eat. But not his bullshit. The club was all brass and leather. The kind of place where deals got inked over Scotch neat and backslaps that echoed like gunshots. Jack was already there, holding court at a corner booth with his Armani suit and that Rolex that screamed, "I bought this with your trust fund." Ames, over here. He waved like we were kids at Coney Island, not orphans plotting over corpses. I slid in, forcing a grin. What's the big news? Bro, you finally gonna let me flip that warehouse into lofts? His eyes gleamed.
Predatory.
Better. I've got a buyer. Cash offer. $2 mill. Closes next week. We split it 50-50 family. Right? I laughed. Light and airy. The kind that hides knives. 50-50? It's my deed.
Jack. But hey.
Blood's thicker. Inside, I was mapping his tells. The twitch in his jaw when he lied. The way his fingers drummed like he was signaling a hit. We ordered steaks, rare for me. Because why not bleed a little more tonight? And he spun his yarn. Market's hot. But timing's everything. Sell now, or risk the regs tanking it.
Lies.
The regs were his doing. Payoffs to inspectors who'd find, violations if I dragged my feet. As the waiter poured wine, a 95 Bordeaux, Dad's favorite, I leaned in. You know, I was poking around the site today. Found some old stuff in the basement. Cool history.
Huh.
His fork paused midair. Just a beat too long. Yeah? Like what?
Oh. You know.
Bottles. Papers. Nothing major. I sipped, watching him sweat under the polish. The seed was planted. Let him wonder. Let him slip. By dessert, cheesecake that tasted like ash, we were toasting to new beginnings. His phone buzzed. He glanced.
Smirked.
Probably texting his fixer. The same ghost who'd end me in 6 months. One more thing. Ames, he said, clinking glasses. Sign the papers tomorrow. Don't make me beg. I smiled wider. Wouldn't dream of it, but as I stepped into the night, rain slicking the streets like oil on water, I whispered to the shadows, game on, brother. The rain came down in sheets that turned Park Avenue into a blurred watercolor of taillights and umbrellas, but I barely felt it. My mind was a storm of its own, replaying Jack's micro-expressions like footage from a sting-op. That jaw twitch? Classic tell from our poker nights as teens. Back when he'd bluff his way out of chores and I'd call him on it every time. Except now. The stakes were my life, literally. I ducked into a dive bar off 59th. The kind with sticky floors and jukebox blues that drowned out the world. Ordered a whiskey neat, nursing it while I pulled up the photos on my phone. The ledgers glowed under the dim neon. Incriminating scrawl jumping out. JH. Transfer $500,000 to Cayman Shell. Yacht mods.
Mods.
As in, modifications to sink the damn thing. I needed allies. Someone who could verify this without tipping Jack. Enter Lena Vasquez. The PI Dad had on speed dial before he went silent. In my old timeline, I'd hired her too late, after the mugging, when she unearthed just enough to get me killed. This time, proactive. I texted her burner number, memorized from desperation. Meet?
Urgent.
Old warehouse job. Her reply pinged in under a minute, midnight. Usual spot. The usual spot was a 24-hour laundromat in Hell's Kitchen. The kind where tumble dryers hummed like alibis and the owner turned a blind eye for a Benjamin. Lena was there when I arrived, perched on a folding table amid the spin cycles. Her leather jacket scarred from too many stakeouts. Salt and pepper hair pulled into a no-nonsense ponytail. She was pushing 60, built like a retired boxer, with eyes that had seen more double crosses than a Scorsese flick. Amelia Hargrove. Been a minute. You look like hell warmed over. Feel like it too. I slid her a flash drive, dupe of the photos, and watched her scan them under a flickering fluorescent. Her brow furrowed, then lifted. This your brother's handwriting? Jackson? The Wall Street Wunderkind. Bingo. And it's just the tip. Dad's affidavit. It's in there. He suspected sabotage on the yacht. Lena whistled low, pocketing the drive. Your folks' accident? Yeah. I worked that. Official report was clean storm surge, mechanical failure. But I smelled rat from jump. Client pulls me off right after. Says, family matter. That was your old man. She paused, drumming fingers on her knee. If this is real, it's Motive City. Jack's got enemies. But family? That's nuclear. Tell me about it. I leaned in, voice dropping. He's pushing me to sell the warehouse. Low ball offer. Cash only. I think he knows about the vaults. Wants am gone before I crack him open. She nodded slow, calculating. Smart play. Those ledgers could trigger IRS audits. RICO if there's organized ties. But exposing him? Girl, that's playing with C4. He's got lawyers thicker than the yellow pages. And muscle that don't ask questions. I knew.
God. Did I know?
In the future I dodged. Jack's goons had tailed me for weeks. Black SUVs with tinted windows. Whispers and dive bars about the Hargrove problem. One even cornered me in a parking garage. Brass knuckles glinting under sodium lights. Walk away from the sale. Or we walk you into traffic. I'd laughed it off then. Called the cops who did jack shit.
Now?
I'd ghost them at every turn. What's your angle? Lena? You in. She eyed me, weighing the risk. For your dad? Yeah. But we do it clean, no vigilante crap. I pull strings with a Fed contact. Quiet like. You? Stall the sale. By time. Done. We shook on it. Her grip iron. As I stepped back into the downpour, the city felt less like a cage and more like a chessboard. Jack's move next. But I'd anticipated 3 ahead. Dawn broke gray and grudging. The kind of light that makes you question last night's choices. I crashed for a few hours in my walk-up. Dreams fractured with yacht explosions and alley shadows. Woke to a pounding headache and Jack's voicemail. Papers at my office. 10 a.m. Don't flake. Sis. This is for us.
Us. Right.
I showered off the grime. Picked a pantsuit that screamed competent but compliant, navy wool. Pearls from Mom's jewelry box, and headed downtown. His office was a glass airy in 1-pen-1. All minimalist chrome and views that mocked the ants below. The receptionist. A Botoxed blonde named Tiffany, or something equally forgettable. Buzzed me up with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Jack's domain, corner suite. Walls lined with abstract art that cost more than my Reno budget. A desk the size of a small car. He was on a call when I entered, pacing like a panther, barking into his AirPods about hostile bids and crush the shorts. Wall Street lingo for screw over the little guy. Ames. Right on time. He hung up, all warmth, pulling me into a hug that lingered too long. Cologne sharp as his ambition. Coffee? Espresso? Black's fine. I settled into the leather club chair, scanning for bugs, paranoia my new best friend. The contract packet waited on the desk, boilerplate thick as a Bible. $2 million payout. Clauses buried like landmines. Let's see it. He slid it over. Pen at the ready. Quick read. Buyers solid, private equity. No drama. We close. You cash out. I handle the taxes. Easy street. I flipped pages, feigning interest, heart sinking to the tick of his Patek Philippe. Page 17. Non-disclosure on subsurface anomalies.
Cute.
They knew about the vaults. Who's the buyer?
Exactly?
I like to know who I'm betting down with. His smile tightened. Discreet folks. NDAs all around. Trust me. Like family, I signed with a flourish, the pen scratching like claws on flesh. His relief was palpable, shoulders dropping a fraction. Hook, line, sinker. We lunched at Le Bernardin, his treat. Foie gras and flattery. He probed gently. You find anything fun in that basement yesterday? Old bottles could fetch at auction. Just us bunnies.
Bro. Why?
You collecting? Deflect. Always deflect. He chuckled, but his eyes were scanners.
Nah.
Just curious. Dad was always hiding Easter eggs. Post-meal, I ghosted to a cyber cafe in Chelsea. VPN layered like armor. Emailing Lena the signed copy. Stalled. Buyer's name?
Dig. Her reply on it.
Watch your six. That night, the tale started. Black Lincoln idling across from my building, driver nursing a smoke. Jack's muscle. Early birds. I slipped out the fire escape, hood up, weaving through back alleys to a motel in Queens. Cash only. No cameras.
There.
I plodded deeper. The sale was a feint. Real play was flipping the script. Contact the real buyer, the legit one. A development firm I'd pitched in the future. Leak the value anonymously. Drive up bids. But controversial? Yeah. I'd have to pose as Jack, using his email patterns I'd memorized from shared accounts. Impersonation. Felony territory. But hey, when your brother's a murderer, lines blur. By week 2, bids trickled in $5 million, then $12. Jack's texts escalated. What the hell? Offers pouring? Pull back. I played coy. Market magic? Lena's digs paid off. Buyer was a shell for Victor Kane, Jack's silent partner. A hedge fund vampire with ties to the yacht's mechanics. Deeper web. Kane's yacht crew? Ex-mercs with demo expertise. Twist of the knife. A memory surfaced, buried under years of denial. Dad's last words to me, slurred over brandy. Jack's not like us.
Ames. He's
hungry. Hungry enough to kill? The evidence said yes. But as I stared at the motel ceiling, rain pattering like accusations, doubt crept in. Was I hungry too? This revenge, it tasted sweet. But what if it poisoned me? Week 3 hit like a market crash, frantic, unforgiving, with Jack's paranoia spiking harder than a crypto pump. My inbox, routed through proxies, overflowed with feelers from developers. Heard about the LES gem. What's the real ask? I'd seeded the leak perfectly, dropping hints on Reddit's r/real estate and anonymous tips to cranes. The warehouse was buzzing, virtual tours booked, appraisers circling like vultures. Value? Skyrocketing toward that $85 mill mark. Vaults appraised as historical assets, worth millions in preservation grants alone. Jack's response? A barrage of voicemails. Each edgier. Ames, we need to talk. This is spiraling. Spiraling? Good. Let it hurricane. I hold up in a different crash pad each night. Airbnbs under fake names. Ubers paid in Venmo ghosts. Lena became my shadow op. Daily check-ins via encrypted signal. her gravel voice a lifeline. Kane sniffing. Hired his own PI, good one. Ex-FBI. Lay low. Low? I was a mole in my own life, dodging Jack's invites to clear the air while feeding the frenzy. Controversial decision numero uno. I reached out to Victor Kane directly. Not as Amelia, the mark, but as Elena Voss, a fabricated consultant with dirt on Jack. Email. Heard you're in on the warehouse play. Hargrove skimming, vault docs prove it. Meet. Neutral ground. His reply was swift. Cautious. Bryant Park. Noon. Bench by the fountain. Come alone. Risky as hell, Kane was no choir boy. Rumored to launder for cartels, but if Jack was in bed with him,
Pitting them was poetic.
Noon found me in a trench coat 2 sizes too big, scarf masking half my face, blending with the lunch rush suits. Kane was there, mid-50s slick, silver fox with a stare that priced souls. Italian loafers, pinky ring flashing like a warning. Elena. He didn't rise, just gestured to the bench. Up close, he smelled of bay rum and bad decisions. Mr. Kane. I kept it cool. Midwestern lilt to throw him. The warehouse. Jack's lowballing you. Those vaults? Not just prohibition swag, financials that torch him. He leaned in, breath minty. And you're telling me why? Loyalty discount. Self-interest. Jack's volatile. Crosses partners.
Lie.
But close enough. I slid a burner USB across. Select ledgers. Redacted to tease.
Sample.
Full deck for a finder's fee. His eyes narrowed. Appraising. Bold. You know Jack's family? Family's overrated. The words hung. Bitter. Kane pocketed the drive. Stood. We'll talk. If it's gold.
You eat well.
If not. The threat trailed. Velvet over steel. I vanished into the crowd. Pulse racing. Play or poison. Time would tell. Back in the shadows. The real heat built. Jack cornered me at a neutral spot, a coffee shop in Midtown. His face gaunt under the strain. What the fuck? Ames? Bids at $40 mil? You leaking? I stirred my latte. Innocent. Me?
Nah.
Word spreads. Lie too. And it burned. He slammed his fist, drawing stares. This isn't a game. Sign off on my buyer. Or what? Jack? You'll handle it? The words slipped. Sharper than intended. His face paled, then flushed. What do you know? Enough. I stood, tossing a 10 on the table. See you at closing. But as I walked out, his glare bored holes. That night, the Lincoln tailed me for real, 3 blocks of evasive zigzags before I lost them in a construction detour. Lena's warning, they're escalating. Feds are interested, my contacts greenlighting a probe. But Jack's lawyering up. Decision 2. The gut wrencher, go public. Not full blast, that'd spook him into flight, but a whisper campaign. I drafted an op-ed for the Post. Anonymous, Hargrove heirloom. LES, warehouse hides dark family secrets. Timed for drop post-closing. It'd hit like napalm. Controversial? Hell yes. Smearing your own blood in print, even veiled, was tabloid catnip. But mercy? Not in my vocabulary anymore. Closing day dawned crisp. Autumn leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. The title company was a sterile box in Flatiron. All fluorescent hum and notaries in ill-fitting suits. Jack arrived late. Ty Askew. Kane's shell rep, a weaselly accountant named Perry, already fidgeting. I played the gracious seller, handing over keys with a smile that didn't touch my eyes. Pleasure doing business. Perry scribbled checks, $2 to me. Balance to Jack's entity. But as ink dried, my phone buzzed. Lena. Appraisal just hit. $87 confirmed.
Vault sealed for now.
But feds en route. Jack's hand shook taking his copy. We good. Sis. Golden. Outside. Paparazzi swarmed. My leak's first fruits. Flashes popped like gunfire.
MS.
Hargrove. Vault rumors true. Jack shoved through, cursing under his breath. That night, the call came.
Jack.
Slurring. 3 whiskeys deep. You bitch. You set me up. Background noise. Clinking glasses. A woman's laugh, his latest arm candy. Oblivious. Setup?
Nah.
Just business. I was in a safe house upstate, burner in hand, Lena patching in from her van. You think you can bury me? I've got dirt on you too.
Ames.
That accident in college? The one Dad covered. My blood iced. The car wreck, freshman year. DUI that totaled a Beamer and nearly a pedestrian. Dad's money and connections swept it under. Ancient history. Not if I dig. Threat laced with desperation.
Click.
Lena, he's cornered. Kane's pulling funding. Your leak worked.
But the twist gutted me.
Digging through Dad's old files that afternoon, a photo slipped out. Me.
Post-wreck.
Jack in the passenger seat. Eyes wide. Wait, he was there? Memory flooded. His hand on the wheel, forcing the swerve. Practice handling curves, he'd joked. Drunk. High on whatever Wall Street supplied. I'd blacked out. Woke to sirens. Him vanished. Dad's cover? For both of us. Jack hadn't just betrayed. He'd framed me from the jump, letting me carry the guilt while he climbed clean. Rage boiled to something darker, self-loathing. Was I the villain too? Enabling him. Blind to the rot? No time for therapy. High trail loomed, the gala. Jack's annual shindig at the Met. Black tie schmooze fest for donors and dealmakers. Invite in hand. I'd crash. Not a sister, but reckoning. Prep was surgical. Gown from a rental. Emerald silk that hugged like armor, hair pinned severe, makeup masking the hollows. Lena wired me, mic in the clutch, earpiece feeding intel. Kane's there. Feds in plain clothes. Your op-ed drops at 9 p.m. The Met glowed like a jewel box. Chandeliers dripping light over tuxes and gowns. Jack held court near the Egyptian wing. Kane at his elbow. Tension crackling. I slipped in. Champagne flute as prop. Weaving close. Gentlemen. Jack's face drained.
Ames.
Didn't expect. Family discount on the entrance. I clinked glasses with Kane, who smirked. Elena tells me you're folding. His eyes darted. Who? Doesn't matter. The wire hummed. Lena's voice. Feds moving in. Chaos erupted, suits flashing badges. Whispers rippling like dominoes. Jack bolted. Me on his heels. Down marble halls echoing with shouts.
Stop.
Police. But he was faster. Ducking into a service corridor. Me pursuing like a shadow. Cornered in the basement, amid crates of artifacts. He whirled, breath ragged. You did this. For what? Dad's ghost. For Mom. For the yacht. For me. I held up my phone. Recording live. Smile.
Jack.
It's going viral. He lunged, hands clawing not to kill, but to smash the device. We grappled, silk tearing, fists glancing off ribs. You were always weak. Spittle flew. I made us. You broke us. A knee to his gut dropped him.
Gasping.
Feds burst in, cuffs clicking like fate's punctuation. As they dragged him, his eyes met mine, not hate, but hollow. We're the same. Ames. Words lingered as they hauled him away. The fallout was a media cyclone, sucking in everyone from cable news pundits to late-night monologues. Hargrove air exposed. Murder. Mayhem. And Manhattan millions. My op-ed broke wide at 9:15. Time to the arrests. Painting Jack as the serpent in the family garden. Embezzler. Saboteur. Fratricidal wannabe. The vaults? Sealed by feds that night. Contents auctioned under court order. $12 mill to museums. The rest funneled to victims' funds, including a restitution check for mom and dad's estate. My cut from the warehouse sale? I flipped the title back post-bust, netting $42.50 mill after splits, half to charity, half to rebuild what Jack torched. Clean slate. Or as clean as blood money gets. But victory tasted like hospital jello, bland, with a metallic afterbite. Interrogations dragged, me in a conference room at one police plaza, Lena coaching from the hall. Stick to facts. No revenge narrative. Facts, the ledgers,
The affidavit.
the texts.
Jack's cell?
A confessional under sodium lamps. Spilling to cut a deal. Kane first, then the yacht crew. Turns out, Dad confronted him weeks prior. Pack it in, son, or I go public. Jack's solution? A diver planted charge during a family cruise. Mom collateral in his ambition.
Kane?
Silent partner. Laundering the skim through real estate shells like my warehouse. Jack's trial was a circus. Federal courthouse in Foley Square jammed with sketch artists and true crime podcasters. I testified day 3. Perched in the box like a ghost in Chanel. He texted me the day he sold my inheritance. Sold your building for cash. No remorse. Just erasure. The jury, blue-collar mix from Queens and the Bronx, ate it up. Faces hardening at each exhibit. Wire transfers. Bomb schematics. My alley photos from the future timeline that Lena recovered via hacks. Jack's defense? She fabricated it all, sibling rivalry gone mad. But the evidence? Ironclad. Twist drop, the college wreck. Jack's DNA on the airbag. Logs from Dad's private probe. He'd pinned it on me to test loyalties. Dad's cover a bandage on gangrene. Verdict, guilty on all. Manslaughter for the parents. Fraud. Attempted murder on me. Sentenced to 35. No parole. Kane, 20. Singing like a canary for leniency. As Jack was let out in orange, he paused at the rail. Voice a rasp. You won.
Ames.
But you lost us.
Us.
The myth we'd clung to. Outside. Flashbulbs blinded. Mics thrust like bayonets. MS. Hargrove. Bitter triumph or sweet revenge. I pushed through. No comment. Straight to Lena's unmarked sedan. Drinks? Non-alcoholic. I'm done with poison. We hit a quiet joint in the village, jazz low. Booths scarred like old friends. Lena raised a soda. To loose ends, some knot tighter. I swirled my ginger ale, staring at the bubbles. The do-over had fixed the plot, but the character arcs? Mine was a mess. Therapy started next week, NYU shrink, specializing in trauma loops. Because nights still jerked me awake. Allie's shadows replaying. Jack's grin morphing into my own reflection. Was I the hero? Or just the survivor, who got meaner? Months blurred. The warehouse reborn as artist lofts. My name on the plaque, Amelia Hargrove Preserve. Rents funded scholarships for LES kids. Echoes of Dad's community dreams. I dated. A barista with tattoos and trust issues. Nothing serious. Traveled. Road trip down Route 66. Chasing horizons untainted by skyscrapers. But the hook lingered, that text. Soldier building for cash. A reminder that family isn't blood, it's choice. I'd chosen truth over ties. And the cost? Sleepless nights tallying ghosts. One crisp April dawn, 6 months post-verdict, anniversary of my death, I stood on the warehouse roof. City sprawling like a forgiven sin. Wind whipped my coat, carrying Hudson whispers. Phone buzzed, unknown number. Hesitant, I answered. Hello. Ames. Jack's voice. Tinny from Supermax. Collected calls only. Not calling to beg.
Just.
Read your piece in the Times. The lofts. Dad'd be proud. Silence stretched, taut as wire. Maybe. Or he'd say we both fucked up. A chuckle.
Dry. Fair.
Look. There's a box. Storage unit in Jersey, my stuff. Keys with Lena. For you.
Click.
I didn't rush it. Weeks later. Curiosity 1. Unit 47. Padlocked anonymity. Inside. Dad's old sea chest. Brass-bound. Labeled for the kids. Letters. Yellowed, to Jack. Pleading choose better. To me, you're the anchor. And at bottom, a deed. Not to the warehouse, but to a cabin in the Adirondacks. Co-owned. For when the city's too loud. Untouched. Untainted. I drove up that weekend, gravel crunching under tires, pines scenting the air like amnesty. The place was time-frozen. Stone fireplace. Loft bed. Lake view shimmering. No signals. No schemes. I built a fire. Cracked a beer, microbrew. Local, and sat on the porch as dusk fell. Stars wheeled overhead. Vast and indifferent. For the first time since the reset, peace edged in. Not closure, that's a lie we tell ourselves, but space. To rebuild, not revenge. Back in the city, life layered on. Board seats for ethical real estate. A podcast gig spilling tea on white-collar wolves. Lena, partner now. Our firm, Hargrove and Vasquez Investigations. We took pro bono cases, whistleblowers, underdogs, turning skeletons into spotlights. The final twist? Not in court, but in me. That hunger Jack accused? It faded. Replaced by hunger for more, connections real as the cabin's timbers. I visited him once. Plexiglass between. No hugs.
The box helped, I said.
Thanks. His nod. Weary. Write the book. Ames. Our story. Truth this time. I did. Not for fame, but catharsis. Reborn in Betrayal, A Sister's Reckoning. Bestseller?
Nah.
But readers wrote, you gave me courage to call out my own Jack. worth every word.
Now.
As another October chills the air, I walk the LES streets, past the lofts glowing with new lives. No tales, no texts. Just me, Polish, whispering to the wind, we're square now. And for once, it feels true.